Bam. This is for all of you good folks that could not make it. So I want to make sure that I'm recording this. So sharing my screen, as you know that Paul is in and out of jail. But we come to Philippians and I keep seeing this word, rejoice, 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 almost in every chapter. Rejoice. How is it that you are in prison, Paul, but yet for some reason you're constantly telling the people to rejoice? Let me read. This is Philippians 4, verse 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. It just reminds me of how we can do all things through Christ, which strengthens us. But why don't we do all things? Why don't we do the things that we said that we are here to accomplish? And so today, loves, I want to help you to uncover the stories that you are telling yourself. I want you to step out and I want you to risk being yourself. And I want us to dive into your mind because we're going to find out about all the thoughts that are disrupting your God-given identity. And we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is basically feeling like I'm not good enough, feeling like I am a fraud, feeling like I know I'm here in this position, but I don't deserve it, despite what my accomplishment says, despite what my achievements says. And so we're going to take a second to look at imposter syndrome to see how it may be affecting us and how it might be affecting the people that we're called to serve. And I'm going to lead by example with this imposter syndrome session with you. And I'm hoping that as I go through it, you're going to pull from it some ways that you can grow your platform. Some of you are called to help women and men or men who are dealing with trauma. Some of you are called to help women who are healing from cancer. And sometimes those moments, sometimes they can get so emotional. And so one of the things that I would recommend to you to do is to go podcast style. Now, podcast style is simply turning off your cameras so that people feel comfortable speaking up without feeling like, oh my goodness, all eyes are on me. So it's creating a safe space where people can be vulnerable. Another thing that I'm hoping that you're going to get from this is that you're able to extract pain points. Because sometimes when God has moved us or delivered us from a situation, we could become callous or we can become so victorious that we don't remember what it was like way back when. And so as I give you some pointers and I send you into these breakthrough rooms with your cameras off and you openly and you honestly share, I want you to remember these pain points, maybe even write down the pain points, because as you are building your business, remember, this is going to be the gift that keeps on giving, not just for you, but for your business. As you're building your business, you're going to need marketing. You're going to need visibility on your business. And if you already have visibility, you're going to need even more visibility on your business. And so in order to get that visibility and in order for your marketing to be powerful, you're going to have to speak the language of your people. You're going to have to speak in layman's terms. They don't want that supercalifragilisticexpialidocious over their head PhD language. They need to know that you can feel them where they are down in the valley. Remember, like I always say, people will pay not to be in pain long before they will pay for pleasure. So in other words, don't go out there selling limousines and Ferraris and private jets, because that's not where a lot of people are. A lot of people are down in the valley. People will purchase Tylenol long before they purchase vitamins. And so I need for you to be able to sprinkle in those pain points. The pain points are your connection opportunities in order to reach the people that God is calling you to pull up out of that valley. You guys with me? You with me? Everybody good? Thumbs up. All right. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing I want to do is I want to show you this video clip. This is a video clip of Rocky Balboa, just to give you some context. I love this. This video has like over 1 million views, and there's a reason why. Now, let me say first, the video is about 4 minutes long, okay? About 4 minutes. It's short, it's 4 minutes. And what I love about this video is this is a time in one of Rocky Balboa's like latest or last clips, movies, where he's still in the fighting game. Like he's still trying to throw some blows at his age, and his son is embarrassed. And his wife, Adrian, if you guys remember from Rocky, Adrian, she passed a while ago. And so the son is there because the son is a businessman. And the son is pretty much saying, hey, Dad, if you enter into this fight, like not only is it going to be embarrassing for you, you're not thinking about how it's going to affect me. And the reason why I'm showing you this video, loves, is because I'm hoping that you will think about who you were in the past, maybe when imposter syndrome affected you and you victim blamed, or you played the victim, or maybe you'll think about your clients, the people who you are called to help. Because the people that you are called to help, sometimes they'll say, well, you're not helping me. Mother, you're not helping me, boss, right? And I want you to be able to look out for that. And I want you to notice how he so beautifully addresses what's happening. He doesn't try to use big words. He allows himself to be vulnerable. He allows himself to be in the moment. He allows himself to be passionate. And this is going to help a lot of you as you prepare your speeches in the future. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and show the clip.
Have you seen my father?
In the back.
It's unbelievable. Incredible. You're doing good. You're enjoying everything, all right? Excuse me. How you doing? Glad you come by.
Can I talk with you?
Sure.
Can we do it outside? So you're going through with this?
Yeah, I start training tomorrow.
Hey, Rock. I made some connections. I could make some money on this, endorsements.
Absolutely, do that.
Thank you, Rock.
Sure.
Okay.
So you're nervous about the fight?
They're scared to death.
You don't look scared?
Well, you ain't supposed to.
Then you don't have to do it.
Yeah, well, I think I do.
You know, living with you, it hasn't been easy. People see me, but they think of you. Now with all this going on, this is gonna be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
No, sure it does.
Why? You got a lot going on, kid.
Oh, what, my last name? That's the reason I got a decent job. That's the reason why people deal with me in the first place. Now I start to get a little ahead. I start to get a little something for myself, and this happens. Now I'm asking you as a favor not to go through with this, okay? This is only gonna end up bad for you, and it's gonna end up bad for me.
You think I'm hurting you?
Yeah, in a way you are.
It's the last thing I ever wanted to do.
I know that's not what you want to do, but that's just the way that it is. Don't you care what people think? Doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a joke and that I'm gonna be included in that? Do you think that's right? Do you?
You ain't gonna believe this, but you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother.
It ain't about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and get back up. Any thoughts about that? Before I go any further, someone unmute and tell me the one rule we have here on this platform. What is our one rule? Whenever we're together, please share.
The opportunity to take the mic.
That's right, Stevie. Thank you. Never pass up the opportunity to take the mic. And let me just say that we're all family here. It's okay to share. And it is so easy to not pass up the opportunity to take the mic when you understand that you are speaking to share. You're not speaking to impress. A lot of you already saw my 4-minute video about me, so I didn't have to come in and give a long introduction about myself. But I was a teenager with a speech impediment. And now I get paid speaking gigs. People pay me to bless their stage. I can't believe that. So I say all that to say that I am not a gifted speaker. I am a courageous speaker. And so never pass up the opportunity to take the mic. All right. We accept you exactly for who you are. Okay. So my question to you, loves, is what are your thoughts? How do you feel about that clip that I just showed you? What stands out for you? Raise your digital hand. To raise your digital hand, you can go to the bottom of your toolbar. You can press raise hand. And when you're done speaking, you can press lower hand. Was there any one thing that stood out to you about that video? Yeah, go ahead, Michelle. Crystal, go ahead, Crystal. Crystal, did you raise your hand? Oh, it says Michelle when your hand is raised, but then Crystal when you lower it. So Michelle, Crystal, you go right ahead. It says two different things. It's interesting. Go ahead.
Hello. Hello to everyone. That really stood out with me because since I've been on my journey for the past 5 years, when I first started, I had to let go of being validated by people,
Mm-hmm.
and it was so liberating.
Yeah.
And it also reminds me of my son too, because I've been trying to teach him the same thing. He's 17. And he hasn't quite got it yet. And I know he's growing up in this social media age. So it's a little bit harder to listen to mom on that. But it resonated with me because of how I used to be and how I felt when I finally let go of, I don't care what someone thinks. And that was hard, very hard.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Michelle. Yes. All right. Coach Chris, what's on your mind, love?
uh, what I got from the one takeaway from that film clip was that we can't blame others. We got to take responsibility for ourselves, whatever we're doing in life. So, and if we don't keep in that rut of blaming others, we can progress. It's like being in a rut, and you have to get out of it, and then you can run your race.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that. I want to read something to you. Thanks, Coach Chris. I want to read something to you. This is Dr. Miles Monroe here. He has a book, Understanding Your Place in God's Kingdom, which I absolutely love. And right from the beginning, you see my little notes in here. Right from the beginning, it starts off high impact. And if you don't have this book, I highly recommend it. I'm going to read this short piece to you. And he's basically talking about potential and how we use our resources. It says, we build buildings and then bomb them. We make weapons and then we use them on ourselves. We invent medicines that heal and then withhold them from the sick. We improve the World Wide Web to enhance global communication and then use it to destroy the moral fiber of our children. We are our own greatest enemy. And this is why it's so important that we talk today about mindset with emphasis on imposter syndrome. Go ahead, Stevie, what you got, my love?
Sorry, a little slow on the draw. From the video I got, what somebody else can do doesn't determine what I can or cannot do. And I heard one of the ladies on Girl Trek say, I do what I can till I can do what I can't. And that was all of it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, thank you, Stevie. So this is what I'm going to do now. Now I'm going to stop the videos so that you're not able to show your video either. Let's see, start videos. Okay, nobody should be able to start their videos. And if you can, if it didn't work, go ahead and turn off your video, because now we're going to do some imposter syndrome work. And what I want you to do is, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and grab pen and paper. Grab pen and paper. Let me mute this. Okay, there we go. So grab your pen and paper, because I want you to take notes. And as we go along, I want you to just download anything that comes to mind about you, or download anything that comes to mind about the people that you're called to serve. Keep in mind, when you open your business, whether your business is in the office of your house, or it's a brick and mortar, or it's e-commerce, keep in mind, it is not clients that you are attracting. You are attracting problems, because your business exists to solve a problem. It very well may be that the first problem that you need to solve is the problem of unhealthy thoughts that are running around in your mind. Because when you sit back and you think about it, you don't really need more tips about how to make more money. You don't need tips about how to stand up a business or launch a business. That is the micro stuff. It really is micro stuff. I can give you a handout right now, a checklist that says that tells you step by step how to launch your business, how to get on stage, how to get speaking gigs, how to coach a client, how to sell your products and your services. I absolutely can. But for some reason, it is us that gets in the way. Those things, launching a business, selling your products, attracting clients, marketing, networking, those things are really micro things. But what we have to work on are the macro things. It's the macro things that's stopping us, because we already know what right looks like. The macro things are, stop procrastinating and do what needs to be done. Just like Stevie said, the macro things are, listen, I know that I am supposed to go and meet with 5 clients today, but I'm not doing it. Those are the macro things. We got to get unstuck from our mindset. And so today, I'm going to help you to uncover the stories that you are telling yourself. I want you to step out and just risk completely being yourself. And I want you to address the thoughts that are disrupting your God-given identity. And this is going to help you to get unstuck. All right. So here's the deal. At times, imposter syndrome, it can affect anyone. So first off, if you are experiencing it, I just want you to realize that it is not just you. It is not just you that feels like a fraud. It is not just you that don't believe in all of your abilities. It's not just you that feels like I don't belong. Imposter syndrome is an internal thing in your head. And most of it is all about what we practice telling ourselves again and again, and it can affect anyone. Nobel Peace Prize winner Albert Einstein, he said that when people admired his work, he feels like a swindler. Best-selling author Agatha Christie, she said that she feels like she's pretending to be an author, which is crazy because only the Bible and Shakespeare has ever outsold Agatha Christie. Howard Schultz, the CEO of that Starbucks coffee that we love so much, he said that sometimes when he's sitting in that boardroom, he doesn't feel like he's qualified to be a CEO. Dr. Maya Angelou, when she wrote her 11th book, she said, oh my God, they're going to find out that I'm a fraud. So imposter syndrome, it can happen to anyone. Anytime you have a status shift, when you have to act like you've always been there when you just started, you can experience imposter syndrome. And now that we have social media, we got filters, we got these Brazilian butt lifts, the BBLs that people can just buy for $200, you could finance at $200 a month. Like there's just a lot of pressure to be the it, to fit this image. And I want you to remember this, that there is a lot of pressure between image and reality. Sometimes we spend so much energy on our image that we never work on our reality. And if we never work on our reality, the image gets bigger and the reality gets smaller. And then we become an imposter. And then we have to fake it every day. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that we have our cameras off because this is your safe space. Nobody knows the full extent of your feelings, but this is an opportunity for you to work on a few things in a private, safe space. So here's some examples of imposter syndrome. So I want you to, as I give you the examples, I want you to look out for them in yourself and even in your clients, your target audience. If you are a woman and you work with all men, it's easy to feel imposter syndrome. If you're Black and you work with all Caucasians or Hispanics, or if you're Hispanic or Caucasian and you work with all Blacks, then it might be easy to feel imposter syndrome. And particularly for minorities. If you've been told that you're not good enough through movies, through Hollywood, through media, you can often find yourself wondering, how in the world did I even get here? Or if you have a mother who never let her light shine, ever, you could be affected because we repeat behaviors, right? We repeat the behaviors that have been modeled for us. If your highest recorded education in high school is a high school diploma, then you may be experiencing imposter syndrome, especially if you're teaching a group of people that hold fancy degrees. If you're a mother and all of a sudden you decide to open a business, you can feel like an imposter in your own life because society already has certain expectations of you. If you're in rooms that are based on your field, and then all of a sudden tons of acronyms start being tossed around like ROI, CTR, KPIs, or AARs, and these are acronyms that you don't understand, you could feel it. If you have a spouse that's gorgeous and intelligent and you don't believe that you are, you could also feel it. As speakers, as business owners, as women, imposter syndrome shows up the most when we're offered certain opportunities and then all of a sudden we clench up and then we waste years and years and years because we don't feel good enough or we don't feel ready. Sometimes it shows up when we receive compliments. I know for years it aggravated me to receive compliments. I felt so uncomfortable. Anybody else like that? Like anybody else? Put a yes in the chat if you've ever felt uncomfortable when somebody gave you a compliment. But here's the deal. The normal way of progression is that when we receive compliments, when we accomplish something, is that we're supposed to get a boost of confidence. But sometimes with imposter syndrome, the opposite happens. The more compliments we get, the more accomplishments we get, the worse we might feel. And then sometimes there are those people that are privileged that are told that they belong in high places because of by virtue of their birth and because of absolutely nothing. And then on the flip side, you're told, Powerhouse, you're told that you belong at the table based on your value, based on your accomplishments, and you don't even buy into it. And that don't even make sense. So the bottom line is that imposter syndrome can affect anyone. But here's the twist. Here's what I want you to know. Just because you're not performing the way that you desire, it doesn't mean that you have imposter syndrome. I have to be careful with that word because I know how easy it is to just label something. I believe that many of us are not experiencing imposter syndrome. I believe that most of us are just telling ourselves some really bad stories. Your thoughts may be hurting you. You may be free from trauma, but we want to make sure that the trauma is not still working you. You may be free from a toxic relationship, but we want to make sure that that toxicity is not still poisoning you. You may be free from poverty, but we want to make sure that poverty is not still starving you. You may be free from something, but there are still patterns, and these patterns may be keeping you from where you're supposed to be and where God wants you to be, or where you are and where God wants you to be, shall I say. And you got to be free from that process, my love. You deserve to be free from it. And so let's go through it today. We're going to clear out your mind because here's what I know. I know that the brain, it controls what you think and feel. And if you think certain thoughts and you feel certain ways, you're just not going to do certain things. And so if the brain controls what you think and feel, and if it controls the way you move and talk, lets me know that we need to dive into your brain and do some imposter syndrome work. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to write down 3 of your insecurities. Just write it down on a sheet of paper. What are 3 insecurities that you have? Because when someone comes to you, or when someone replies on your social media and they say something like, hey, I don't like your nails, that color is horrible, you could probably care less, right? But if they come on and they say your forehead is big, your nose is big, you sound funny, who are you? You look broke, or you look too rich or too glamorous, that might just echo your insecurities. And so we need to get ahead of that. When I was a young girl, one of my insecurities was my forehead. Of course, it was my speech because I had a speech impediment. But now if somebody says something about my forehead or they say something about my speech, it doesn't bother me. My heart is not good soil for those type of attacks. I've already done the work. You can't plant seeds in my heart that way and grow something, because it'll bounce off me. It's kind of like if somebody says you're a horrible mother and I know that I'm a great mother, like that would just bounce off me. My heart is not good soil for those type of attacks. So I want you to write down 3 insecurities that you have. It could be physical, financial, spiritual, mental. 3 insecurities that you have. And then with the 2 minutes of silence that I'm going to give you to just write it down, you're not going to share your insecurities, but with the 2 minutes of silence that I'm going to give you to write it down, I want you to trace the roots of those thoughts. I want you to think about where it came from. Did somebody speak something over you in school? I was pregnant in high school. I remember walking down the hallway and the counselor told me my life would never amount to anything. He cast judgment on me just that quickly. He spoke something of me. Did your parents say something to you? And maybe you allowed it to become true. Maybe your parents said, money don't grow on trees. We ain't got it like that. So I want you to find the roots, because I want you through this process to understand that you can't accept everything that comes your way. Somebody says, I love you, and we just accept it and do anything for them. Somebody says you're nothing, and we just accept it. Just like you have to work on a relationship with someone else, you got to work on a relationship with yourself. And so I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Again, I just want you to write down 3 insecurities that you have. And then I want you to think about the root of those insecurities. So 3 insecurities and 3 roots. Your 2 minutes to write this down, and you're going to keep this to yourself. It begins now. Okay, let's keep going. Now, I want you to write down how you felt when you felt the most broken. It may be how you feel now, but I don't want you to write how you feel now that you've done the work. Like, I'm optimistic, I'm blessed, I'm highly favored. No, no, no. I want us to just keep looking at who you are and who you were when you were in the gutter, when you were down in the valley. Keep in mind, this is how you're going to reach your clients, because like attracts like. Chances are, regardless of the sign that you hang above your door, you're going to attract people who have some essence of who you once were. That is why janitors can be counselors to students, unqualified counselors, because they remember back when they felt a certain way as well. They can connect. And so I want you to think about 3 words that describe how you feel. It may be right now. You may say, once upon a time, I felt worthless. Once upon a time, I felt broken, unlovable, exhausted. Oh my goodness, exhausted. So I'm going to give you 1 minute to just write down 3 words that describe how you feel now if you are in the valley, or how you once felt when you were down in the valley. And then I'm going to beam you up into a breakout room, And then you're going to share these 3 words. And I want you to remember these words because, again, it is going to help you to build bridges with the people that you're called to help. Your 1 minute to write down your 3 words, just your 3 words that describe how you feel. It begins now.
Hi,
Okay.
Coach Gwen. Can
So
you
hi.
hear me?
I can hear you, Tara Lynn. What's going on?
Um, Hi, how you doing?
Hi.
As always, can you help me get into a breakout room?
Oh,
I
okay. So
wish more, but
hold on 1 second, Tara Lynn. We're doing things a little bit different. Let me reset the room for those of you that are just joining in. Today, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're talking about imposter syndrome. We're keeping our cameras off for once. That's why you can't turn them on. And what you're doing is right now, you are just taking a moment to gather your thoughts before I beam you up into a breakout room. You're gathering your thoughts. You're going to write down 3 words that describe how you feel now if you are in the valley, somewhat depressed, feeling captive about something. Or you're going to write down 3 words that describe how you felt when you once was in the valley. You're writing down those 3 words, and then I'm going to beam you up into a breakout room so that you can share it with the other powerhouses. So, about 2 more seconds. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and beam you all up now. Now, I'm beaming you up, so do not worry about selecting a breakout room at all. Let me give you some directions. When I beam you up, I want you to take no more than 2 minutes apiece. Again, 2 minutes apiece. Go in alphabetical order by first name. So, Crystal, you'll be first in your group because your first name is Crystal. LK, if you're still on, you'll be first. And then Andrea, you'll be first in your room. Again, 2 minutes apiece, alphabetical order. If you go over your 2 minutes, then you're going to rob somebody else of the opportunity to share. And this is like your exposure therapy. For those of you that want to be speakers and you know you need to practice and build your speaking confidence, not all of you need to practice, but some of you do. If that is the case, just going into these rooms and speaking with a stranger, it is going to help you to collect that evidence that's going to help beat imposter syndrome so that you can step on the stage with confidence. Okay. So your 2 minutes, 2 minutes apiece, alphabetical order by first name, beaming you up now. Okay, welcome back. So here's what I want you to do now. I want you to think about the needs that are not being met in your life right now. It may be, oh my goodness, I'm not making the money that I should be making. I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. Oh my goodness, my staff isn't doing what they're supposed to do, and so I don't feel supported. Oh my goodness, I feel lonely. I feel like I should have more companionship. I want you to think about the needs in your life that are not being met right now. Write down at least three needs that you just, oh my goodness, if these needs alone were met, it would completely change the game for me. So I'm going to give you 1 minute out here to think about the three needs in your life that is not being met. I'm going to beam you up so that you can share. Your 1 minute begins now. Going. Okay, let me say, loves, I'm loving this. I'm loving that some of you are experiencing some issues getting into the rooms, getting out of the rooms, because a lot of you are going to start communities similar to this one, maybe a little bit different, but you're getting an opportunity to explore the lay of the land, to learn your technology, to learn the tools that you're going to be using. And so if you are on a cell phone, when I beam you up into these breakout rooms, you may have to go to your toolbar and then press join. But for most of you, the system will automatically beam you up, or you may have to press the join button or click it when it pops up on your computer. Okay, so let's keep going. The next question I want you to answer, and I want you to answer this. I'm not going to beam you up into a breakout room, but I want you to sit silently and answer this. And keep in mind, if I don't give you enough time, you can always go back and answer these questions once we get off the call. Now, keep in mind, I'm purposely keeping your cameras off so that you can be vulnerable and be honest about how you feel about certain things. Sometimes when we show up and we're visible, sometimes it keeps us from being completely who we are. So the first question you already answered was, what do you feel? And you came up with 3 words that described how you felt. That was the first question. The second question was, what needs in your life are not being met right now? You checked in on your life to discover and to bring awareness to what it is that you need. What needs aren't being met? Now, this third question I want you to answer, again, you're just going to answer it on your paper, or you're going to think about it if you're driving. This third question is, what are you secretly afraid of and why? This is a two-part question. What are you secretly afraid of and why? Now, you're not going to go into a breakout room and blast that out, but I'm going to give you a minute, and I want you just to write down 3 things that you are secretly afraid of and why. Your minute begins now. Okay, let's keep going. Remember, if you need more time, you can go and work on these questions. And these are excellent questions to ask your clients when you're doing your one-on-one coaching calls. The next question I want you to answer, again, I'm not going to beam you up for this one because this one is a little personal. But the next question I want you to answer on your paper is this. I want to know what's really going on. Deep down, what do you believe about yourself? Like deep down in your broken state, what do you believe about yourself? You might say, I feel like I disappoint people, or I feel like people disappoint me. I feel like I can't trust people. Maybe deep down, because of something that happened in the past, maybe deep down, you feel like I'm not a good person, or I'm not lovable because I don't look like the models in the magazine. Maybe deep down you feel broken. Maybe deep down you feel like you can never be good. You can never get it right. You can never say it right. So what I want you to do now is I want you to write down 3 things deep down, 3 things you secretly believe about yourself that's keeping you from achieving the next level. Let's just call it out. And again, I'm not going to beam you into a breakout room. This is personal. Just write it down on the paper. Okay. Okay. Now things are about to get juicy. So you remember the questions. In the beginning, I had you to describe how you felt when you were down in the valley. I had you write down the needs that were not being met. I had you write down the things that you secretly were scared about or fearful about or afraid of. I had you write down just now, deep down, some thoughts, things that you believe about yourself that nobody would know, just you. So now the goal is to go back and write the opposite of what it looks like as your highest self. Remember, we are rewriting these stories. As your homework, I'm going to have you, as your call to action, I'm going to have you go in and write the first 4 things. But right now, for our last breakout, I want you to write the opposite of what you just wrote. I want you to write down, right now, we're going to start here. Yes. I want you to write down, right now, what are some things that you are secretly proud of about yourself and why? What are 3 things that you are secretly proud of and why? Again, what are 3 things that you are secretly proud of about yourself and why? And then when we get off the call, I want you to sit in silence and I want you to go in and fill in the remaining questions. I'm going to give you 1 minute to write down those 3 things that you are secretly proud of. I want you to rock your own world and toot your own horn here. 1 minute to think about 3 things, and then I'm going to beam you up so you can share those things. Your 1 minute to think about 3 things that you're proud of, that you accomplished, that you did. Maybe it's something you did for somebody else and they have no clue that you did it. Because I'm sure that most of you are just like me. You pay for people's food, you buy groceries at the supermarket, you pay for people's gas, you send people money, and you don't post about it. You just do it because you are a representative of Christ. And I want you to write down those 3 things. This is your opportunity to share it. Your 1 minute to gather your thoughts so that I can beam you up. Your 1 minute begins now. Okay, let's go ahead and get you into your breakthrough rooms. Remember, 2 minutes apiece, go in alphabetical order by first name. I'm beaming you up now. 3 things you're secretly proud of and why. Who has something about today's session that they just would love to share? Raise your digital hand if there's some insight, some thoughts. Maybe you feel like being just a tad bit vulnerable and sharing what it's like for you when you were in the valley and what it's like for you now. Or maybe somebody you know. I don't know. You take the wheel. All right, let's start with you, Michelle. And if you want, you have the choice to turn your camera on or you can leave it off, completely up to you. Go ahead, Michelle.
I'll leave it off. When in our breakout room, I just wanted to point out Sandra had a really good point. I had mentioned that it feels funny to say my accomplishments to other people or out loud, really. And she had a point that it doesn't serve us to put us down. It actually makes you closer to God. And I said that I never thought about it like that. When you are, saying positive things about yourself, that's how God sees us. He doesn't see, the negative stuff or us second guessing ourselves. He only sees our positives. So I just wanted to point that out because that was such a good point because it feels weird saying my, accolades to someone, because I had still have a fear of them, thinking that, I'm stuck up or something. But no, that's a good point that she made, and I like that she shared that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Michelle. You know, it doesn't matter if you were on drugs, if you got pregnant in high school, if you were homeless, if you were abused or the abuser. God can use it. God can use any and everything except your silence. We need for you to speak up and speak out loud and proud. Because a lot of the times when we are evangelizing, people will look at you and tell and ask you why. What is he doing for you? And you need to be able to boast and say certain things, and you can extract that when you are aware of your accomplishments. So I absolutely love that. One of the things that I do when people give me compliments, because I was one of those ones that was not good with compliments, is I had a standard line. I would just say, to God be the glory. I receive that. That's it. To God be the glory. I receive that. So try that on and maybe that'll work for you as well, especially in those times where you feel uncomfortable about your accomplishments or receiving compliments. Thank you so much, Michelle. Let's go over to Stevie.
Thank you so much for this. Under the question, the 3 things that I felt when I was most down, I wrote poor as my first one. And as Kendra was talking, poor changed to broke, and then broke changed to broken. It was revelatory for me. And then what the sister just said about bragging on ourselves, I heard God say, these can become affirmations. If since this is in me, then he already called it to be because it already is. Let's go.
Oh, and I love how you ended that with an action statement. Let's go. I love that. Thank you, Stevie. Okay, go love. The mic is yours.
What I had coming up was that I'm actually scared of success and being on top. So that was interesting. And yeah, I think I never was there. So it might be a scary thought to be overwhelmed or whatever. So that came up, and I think something to work with. So that's good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. You will be surprised how many times I've heard that. There are a lot of women that are afraid of success, that are afraid of their next level. And really, what that equates to is that there are a lot of people who are afraid of change. When you go to the next level, that means that your ecosystem is going to change, meaning that people who are with you for your flight from Atlanta to Dallas are not going to be with you on your flight from Dallas to Europe, for example. And so that can be scary. That's just one of the reasons, not saying that that is your reason, but change can be scary. And so I absolutely just adore you for sharing that. Thank you, LK. All right, go ahead, Kendra.
Thank you. I'm gonna turn my
Look
All
at
right, thank you.
beautiful.
And also the questions were just amazing and it allowed me to think and go deep. Like I said, I had some tears come out on some of these questions because some of the answers that I came up with. And so I want to share the two that you mentioned of what do you secretly fear about yourself, and then the opposite. And I'm going to share the opposite first, the positives. And one of the things I put was my faith. And as I began to write that, I'm like, I noticed that people don't have faith like mine. And it's shown me that God gave me that as a gift because it is one of the gifts of the spirit. And so I want to mention that one first because I want to go back to the fears, which I put that because of my faith, there are things, and because I've been around so many people in my life that has spoken down or that live in fear or don't have that faith, there have been times where I've had to declare, stand on things in Jesus' name out of my faith and out of the moment. But then when I'm outside of that, or when I'm back into reality, or when I'm trying to relate or connect with others, I noticed that I go in and out of the spirit and then back into the flesh mind, the carnal mind. And then that's like, wait, I said that? Oh no. And it's almost like I fear what I said. Like, well, how is it going to happen? How is it going to become? How is it going to be a thing? And so that made me tear up because I realized like I be saying stuff and I be declaring stuff, but then I'll draw back on it later, like, wait, huh? And it's like I fear my own words, or did I say that right? Or did I say the right thing, or what did I just do? What did I just say? And that brought me to tears. So I wanted to share that and just thank you for uh, enabling that question to even come up.
That's beautiful. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that because your people, all of you, your people need your ability to be vulnerable, to be honest about things like that because when you come out and you say that, hey, listen, I want to share my story, like Kendra just did, of how I went from fear to faith and how God brought me through. You guys remember, I think it was last week or the week before last, we talked about your two testimonies, your conversion testimony and your recovery testimony. That right there is going to be like medicine to someone who needs a healing for whatever they're going through in those type of moments. And you can shortcut their learning curve in such a less painful way. And so I absolutely love that you shared that. Thank you so much, Kendra. Listen, loves, we are at our time. And so I want you to go back and I want you to fill in the bright side of those questions that I gave you. And keep in mind that those are excellent questions for when you are coaching your one-on-one clients, sometimes even in your semi-private coaching calls. I wouldn't really say in your group coaching calls, but also extract anything that you saw and liked and can use about my methodologies of tuning in podcast style, of turning off the cameras so that you can feel like you're in a safe space to write these questions down. But I am just so happy for all of you. Let me just check the chat right fast. Michelle says she used to self-sabotage. I know. Isn't it crazy how we can want one thing and do something completely contradictory? Like, I want perfect health, but then yet you smoke 5 packs of cigarettes a day, right? We have these inner conflicts going on. And thank you for sharing that self-sabotage message, Michelle. Stevie says, I'm committing to my answers to my secretly proud of me statements to become my affirmations. Since these things are in me, then God has already called it to be because it already is. Thank you so much, Stevie. I see you got a lot of love in the chat on that one. And thank you, Kendra. Yes. Okay, loves, let's get you out of here. Hope to see you. Oh, I'm closing my laptop. I'm taking next week off. I'm going to be I'm going to hit a few countries over the next several days. So we won't have a session next week, but the week after, when we return, Bring your A game, because I'm going to be replenished and rejuvenated, and I'm going to be ready to really just hit the ground running. So let's get you out of here for now, though. Just remember, loves, as you go about your day, remember my mantra: never, 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 never pass up the opportunity to take the mic. Goodbye, Powerhouse. Have a beautiful day. God bless you. I'm so proud of your journey.